All right. It is Tuesday night here with another edition, late night with the love up. And he is I am him, Dr. Corey J, Coach Corey, Coach Barnes, Dr. Barnes. Go by a lot of different names, and I answer to them all. And appreciate you all tuning in, checking this out. If you do it, now, if you're live, if you do it later, as we just discussed topics related to sports, business, and culture. And we're happy to be able to give a fresh and different perspective. Um, and hopefully you gain something from it as we continue, to try to learn and grow from each other. And please go ahead and like, share, and subscribe to my channel, J Love Publishing, as continue to bring interesting and relevant content to the masses. Doing my part, like Andre Three Stacks say, he had something to say. He felt like the South had something to say, and so do I. I'm from the South, and I got a little something to say. So let's talk about it. So first up, um, this is for my FAMU people, Florida Agricultural and Mechanical University. If you haven't heard, Florida A&M has a new president. They have a new president, and there are a lot of people that ain't happy. Not that they ain't happy that they got a president, but who they chose as a president. Unless you have been under a rock, um, they chose. They had two choices. And the choice that they made was definitely not who the alumni. And if you don't know, I'm from Florida, and so I kind of grew up with it. I didn't go to FAMU because I always said I didn't go to FAMU because I wanted to graduate. Right, I wanted to graduate from college, and if I'd have went to FAMU, I more than likely I would not have. Maybe at some point I would have, but it's just too much. It's too much to. It was too much going on at FAMU, and I didn't need the distractions. I went to Tuskegee for a time, so shout out to the HBCUs, and I ended up having to go back home, back to Lakeland. My grandmother got sick, and was nobody there to kind of really care for her. She got up in age, and so, but FAMU was always kind of one of it was always I don't want to say a dream, but I respect how the alumni are about their school. There is no better school in their mind than FAMU, and they'll they 10 toes down with it. So there's a lot of pride for the Rattler Nation, the FAMU as they call themselves. And so they just picked their 13th president, and they picked her name is Marva Johnson. Marva Johnson was selected, and it was not a unanimous decision. I think it was like 8-4, but the board of trustees picked her, and it was confirmed by the Florida Board of Governors. Um, Here's the issue. Like, I mean, she during her interview process, she expressed a commitment to FAMU. Consider them a top tier. They're considered a top tier university. HBCU, one of the top in the country. She pointed on the research and academic achievement and social impact and all that good stuff. Well, here is the plot twist. She is a she's a MAGA supporter. And for you all to know MAGA, that's Make America Great Again. So she's a Trump supporter. And so you have some conspiracy theorists that feel like, she was put in place to kind of push the Trump agenda. And so it's been a very dark time for the Rattler Nation. And they had a guy that, he works at the university right now, and he was up for the job as well. And a lot of the alumni wanted him to get the position. And so, once again, that didn't happen. So Marvin Johnson is the new president at FAMU. And like I said, if you walk up on a true Rattler, that it's not a good situation, and it's kind of hard to ignore. It's kind of hard to ignore, that she's, it's hard to ignore the conspiracy theorists that feel like she's a plant, feel like she's infiltrating, and they're trying to come at us, i.e., us, the black folk, at our core. And FAMU is one of our core higher institutions of education. So depending on who you listen to, it may be some truth to it, may not be. But y'all tell me what you think. Tell me about what you think about how you feel if you are a Rattler. Most Rattlers I kind of know. Like I said, I got a lot of friends, family that have went to FAMU, and whether you went to FAMU and graduated, whether you went to FAMU or and became a local, you went up there to Tallahassee, and TCC was your route, Tallahassee Community College, and you just end up, living there and being there. Whatever your journey, there once again, there's a lot of controversy. I guess that's a good word. Controversy as it relates to her getting that position. Personally, for the sake of FAMU, for those students, I do wish her well. I do hope that she has, good intentions for the university, for the students, and that they will continue to grow. Because once again, it's a lot of students go there. It's a very proud university. I know when I was principal, at Polk State, when I sent a lot of kids to FAMU. That's a lot of students. That's their dream school. That's their legacy. Their grandma went there, their dad, their uncle, their aunt, big sister, big brother. So for some students, FAMU is it, because that's the family legacy. And so we want to make sure that, that those students who had nothing to do with this election of the president, or whether it's a political agenda, whether it's something else going on, they had nothing to do with it. And so they're already there. We want to protect our students at all costs. And so that's one end of the educational spectrum that I want to talk about tonight. FAMU and the president, and what side of the fence that you sit on as far as their agenda. Another thing that kind of came up, and I just saw this recent, and once again, our president, however we feel about it, he's our president, Donald Trump. It just seems to be he operates off of fear. I'm a lifelong nerd. I love education. I love seeing students go to school, learn, achieve, grow, and go to their respective communities and make a positive impact. So I've always been partial to education and higher education. Like I said, I've had the privilege of earning multiple degrees. I got 4. I don't plan on getting any more, but I have 4 degrees. So when I talk about it, I'm not just talking about it. I've lived it, right? So education is very important to me, and I protect and I support it at all costs. And so I saw something the other day that President Trump is talking about taking funding from the international students at Harvard University, and essentially threatening to send them back. Just taking their money, taking their funding that a lot of those students are going. That is how they're paying for their school, and they're already there. Like, they're not trying to get into Harvard; they're already there. So once again, though, whatever the agenda is, whatever the situation about the immigrants, the illegals, whatever his crusade that he's on, I just think, those kids are not that. Those kids are in school trying to get degrees, trying to better themselves so they can have a life, a productive life. That the education that they're going to receive at Harvard is going to afford them. We all know, we've heard the stories about Harvard. It's just the best of the best. And I just don't think that they should have to be punished, penalized, because and everything with President Trump revolves around money, right? Um, his threats are attached to money, the tariffs, the taxes, all the stuff that he's threatening to take funding from people if they, with the whole DEI thing. And I saw where a court kind of upheld, didn't uphold it, the DEI stuff. So he's, now he's attacking judges. He made a crazy rant yesterday on Memorial Day, and never in his post did he say anything about the fallen soldiers or giving honor to the troops on their day yesterday. Just a evil man. And he may not be evil, but he definitely comes across that way. So now you got all these students at Harvard that are potentially not going to be able to finish because he's taking their funding, and they're not going to be able to afford to pay for college without the funding. And it's just so sad. It's so hypocritical, in my opinion. And like I said, if it's if it's criminals, if it's hardcore criminals, if you're fighting the border and people coming into the country and they shouldn't be allowed, and they're committing crimes and that kind of stuff. I mean, okay, maybe I can rock with you on that to an extent, but kids that are in college, that were in college when you took office, they're there already. They depend on that money to be able to pay for their education, and for them to have that potentially taken away through no fault of their own. They haven't committed a crime, they haven't broke the law, they're not doing anything unethical at Harvard for all intents and purposes, and they're going to have their whole world kind of rocked because of the president and his agenda. And I just think that's so wrong on so many levels. So hopefully it won't pass. Hopefully it won't fly. But just, man, pray for the students at Harvard, and maybe Harvard probably won't be the last school, but it's like they're newsworthy, right? So I'm sure there are other schools that have international students as well. Matter of fact, I'm positive that there are. And he chooses to go at Harvard because Harvard kind of is going to make the headlines because it's Harvard, right? Um, so I saw where he was at West Point and he did the commencement address with a MAGA hat on. I mean, just so disrespectful, telling the military that he fixed the military, blaming what happened on Joe Biden, when the people that fact check him now, every time he talk, he gets to get fact checked. When you fact check and you find out that it was actually George Bush that he was talking about his time with the military, and he's just blaming, like, Joe Biden is gone, man. You beat him, like, or you beat Kamala Harris, but he's gone. So why are you steady like attacking somebody who's gone? And once again, I still am yet to see one policy thing that he's talking about. Now, like I said, I'm not big I'm not big in politics because, like I said, it gets too personal, especially since he's been in office. It's gotten very personal. But where's the policy? Where are we talking about how we're going to, what your hat says, make America great again? Are we just going to continue to threaten people with tariffs and try to take money from people and do the bullying and harassment stuff? That's how we make America great again. I like I said. Anyway, so a couple weeks ago, my fiance and I, we went to watch a play. We went to watch a play called Games Women Play. And before we went to get something to eat. Went to dinner, so dinner and a show, I guess, right? And we went to this restaurant called Papacito's. So Papacito's, right? And anytime I go in a restaurant or a store or whatever, I'm always trying, especially if it's not like a franchise or like a national brand. I'm always trying to see what their story is. Like, what? How did you get to this point? Like, what was the? Because everybody had to start somewhere, right? And so, no, so I went in this Papacito. So I'm reading, on the wall their story, and then I pull it up online. And when I pull it up online, I see where it's like a family-owned, like kind of chain. So Papacitos, and there's like his brothers. So they had Papacitos. They also own Papa Do's. Then it's like 10 different like restaurants. So if you look up on the website, you see like 10 different restaurants. They're all like within this family. And even where we ate at Papacitos right here, and like right next to it was Papa Do's. So they own it. They just walk back and forth, and it's family owned, operate, right? And so their legacy for their business would be food, right? Restaurant. So it got me to thinking, what would you? I'm asking you all this. What would your family legacy be? What would your family legacy be? Like if you could go into business, and the business based off of your family legacy, what would that look like? So it got me to thinking, right? So on my dad's side of the family, if we were to go into a family legacy business, I guess it would have to be something we're all kind of connected to, or got some experience with. So I was saying, my brother Jonathan, he's into like promotions, like party promotions and stuff like that, events and event planning and that kind of stuff. My One of my other brothers, Josh, he does like bartending. He's a bartender. He kind of does. He has a kennel with dogs and stuff. And so me, I kind of do, I guess, media type stuff, content creation in different formats, written. Now I'm getting into kind of, doing it in this space with more like content for us, like going live and talking about different topics, giving my take on them. And so I guess on my dad's side, it would be something kind of promotion, content related. That would be our family legacy. On my mom's side, that's kind of tricky, on my dad's side, my sister, she does shows, she performs, so she's a performer. So that, I guess all of that would be kind of in that line, like performances and promotions and putting things together. That would be on my dad's side. On my mom's side, my sister, my baby sister, she's in nursing. She's been in nursing pretty much all her life. My sister Pooh has done a couple different things. She's done some warehouse stuff. She's done some nursing. So she's kind of had a couple hats. And then, my main thing I've done is education. That's the education business, but I also do coaching. I've been a coach all my life, pretty much. Um, so it would be tougher on my mom's side because we're so like different with what we do. So we don't necessarily have a connection per se. That would be a little bit more of a challenge. Even my nieces and my nephew, like they all doing different things. So I'm not really sure. Like one of my nieces, she's a great she cooks very well, but she's also in school right now. She's going to school, um, so it's just it's different. It's different. My one of my nieces, she loves to travel. She travels a lot, so it just it's very kind of scattered. So it'll be harder to do. But what would your family legacy be? What if you had a family legacy business? What do you think that would look like? Okay. You look at this later on and you want to respond, chat, kind of send a message, whatever, participate in the conversation. That'd be great. But I just, what would it be? What would yours be? I thought that was very interesting, right? Um, so just finished. I kind of had in the background the the basketball game was on, right? And last time I came on, I had made a prediction about the finals. So the NBA playoffs. NBA playoffs just finished, and very exciting game. And Indiana was able to hold on at home, and so Indiana takes a commanding 3-1, not 0, 3-1 lead over the New York Knicks. So the New York Knicks, I know, led by Stephen A. Smith. I know that their fans ready to walk out in traffic. But this Indiana team, man, Halliburton had a triple double tonight, and they just keep coming, man. They just keep coming. They have a great, and I said this to one of my frat brothers a couple weeks ago after they won the series against the last series they just played. I'm like, I love Indiana. Like they just they got a nice squad, man. They just play well together. They go about 10 deep. They playing 10 guys at least 10 minutes. Shout out to Tony Bradley, from Polk County where I'm from. He getting good minutes and getting about 10 minutes a game in the playoffs, and that's big. He went from G League to out the league tonight on a playoff team on the way to the finals, looks like. And you just look at Halliburton tonight, man, his stat line, 32 points, 15 assists, 12 rebounds. I mean, and 0 turnovers. Big boy basketball. I mean, big boy minutes. And he wasn't alone. They had Mathurin, gave him 20 off the bench. Siakam, who's been killing them the whole series, he had 30. Right, I'm looking at the score at the stat line. So you got 3 guys, 32, 30, and 20. That's hard to beat. And then you had 2 other guys in double figures in Naismith and Turner. So Indiana is so we got Indiana looking dominant on the East, and we got we got Oklahoma City looking dominant on the West. And they looking like they're in a collision course of that SGA Halliburton matchup. And they both are deep. They both have depth. They both young. So that ain't a sexy finals. OKC in Indiana, but it's definitely going to be a well played final. And it's amazing. Switch to the West. SGA, who just won the MVP, had 40 last night. 40. And Anthony Edwards went to bed. They had with 16. Julius Randle with 5. And it's interesting in the post game. Anthony Edwards is saying he don't feel like he had a bad game, and he just didn't get enough shots. Bro, it's the playoffs. Like you the dog. You the guy, right? You don't get to say stuff like that, and y'all lost. Like, and somebody. It's like he Teflon, like he don't take nothing on, and that's in some cases that's good, but in this case where the media already own you, that ain't a good look. And I was telling one of my frat brothers today, I'm like, Minnesota made it to the the Western Conference Finals, but they got a nice little pass, right? They didn't, the Lakers probably was one who we thought they was, or who they were in the credits, right? In the opening, in the trailer, they wasn't who we thought they was, or they was. They just got exposed. They ain't got no bench. They ain't got no bench, and then they ain't got no post player. So that wasn't really, they were 3 seed, but they wasn't really that, right? And then you get Golden State, who I think would have knocked them off, but Steph got hurt. And so the chef get hurt, so you don't even get a full Golden State team. So now you're looking like world beaters against both of them, right? So now you're playing people that's young as you, that can jump like you, that is talented like you, and it's been a struggle. And it was a struggle last night. It was a struggle bus. And so I just think, I don't know if he handled it the right way. It's like a pride thing. Like, bruh, you struggling. And everybody can see it. So for you to say you ain't struggling, you just ain't getting enough shots, Like, no, you can't not get enough shots. You're the number one option. You're the best player on the team. You're one of the top 5, 10 players in the league. You can't say I ain't getting enough shots. That's unacceptable. That's unacceptable. And so I do think that New York will get game 5 at home. And I think Indiana will come back and close it out in game 6. And on the other side, I think that OKC goes back home up 3-1, and I think they close it out. So by the end of the week, I think we'll have our finals. We'll have OKC and Indiana, and that should be a very good series. Very good series, and both of them look like the best two teams that's still playing. And SGA I hadn't seen SGA really play because I don't watch the NBA during the season. So watching him play during the playoffs, and it's funny that he's the criticism he's getting for getting to the free throw line, he's flopping and all this kind of stuff. But he's only getting like 8-9 free throw attempts a game. If he's the main guy, that's pretty average, and they're probably as much as some of these other guys that, get. So I don't get the free. I think they call him the free throw merchant. Like he said, he don't really care about it. Like he don't even think about it. Like I don't get what's the criticism of him getting to the foul line. He's hooping, right? If you fouling him, if he's figured out a way to draw contact and draw fouls, he can't be faulted for that. You got to do a better job of how you guarding him, how you defending him, and again giving up 40. And in the night I saw Brunson was double digits at the free throw line tonight. Towns was double digits at the free throw line tonight. But at the end of the day, it didn't matter, but they got to the line, right? So I don't know why it's such a deal, a big news flash or a headline that SGA is getting to the line. But man, I don't know if y'all saw that contract they about to give SGA. Mama, don't let your babies grow up to be football players. Is all I gotta say. This man about to get, if y'all ain't saw it, this man conceivably is about to get 5-year contract for $380 million. Let me say it again. 5 years. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. $380 million. What is we talking about? Anyway, so speaking of big contracts, if we move on to football, Shedeur Sanders. You all by now know the story with Shedeur, how he fell in the draft. Still ain't got no answers to what happened, conspiracy theory, whatever you think. But he signed a contract. He signed a 4-year, I think it's 4 years, $4.6 million. And so you got some people that was kind of clowning it because you always got people gonna clown you, right? That his NIL valuation at Colorado, if he'd went back, was more than what he about to make for a rookie contract for Cleveland. But then you look at another thing that says that Shedeur is scheduled, predicted he's going to make like $10 million off the field this year. So his $10 million is more than any rookie that got drafted about what they're gonna make this year. So a 5th round guy, you getting your $4 million guaranteed from the Browns, which it ain't even about money for him. He just want to play ball. But you're finna get $10 million in endorsement deals because of the light that you got on you, and they so ready to tear him down since this happened. And he just continued to impress with how mature he's handling stuff, how he just want to play ball, how he's learning the playbook, how he's just being a pro. And he's separated himself from all of that legendary stuff and the wristwatch and all that because he understands. Because at the end of the day, what people, why they're so busy hating on who his dad is or what his last name is, it is his dad. And his last name. So his dad has lived it. His dad knows what it takes to be the best to be a high level pro because he was the best and he was a high level pro. So he has a unique insight that a lot of them guys that just got drafted just don't have. So I'm rocking with Shedeur. I'm betting with Shedeur. I'm rooting for Shedeur. I think by mid-season he will be the Browns starting quarterback. I think Joe Flacco will start off, but he'll end up being the guy by mid-season. I just don't see any other way around it. Flacco, I don't think he's going to last the whole season. I think that Shedeur will play himself into that backup role. And when he gets out there, I mean, I don't think he's going to go light it up like instant. But I do think he's going to command the offense, command the locker room. I see where a lot of the locker room people, his teammates already have taken to him. They love his leadership. They love his swag, how he carries himself. So I just think he actually fell into a great situation at Cleveland because the expectations are not going to be high. But, they'll be for him, they're going to be high. But, the expectations for us as a team ain't going to be high because Cleveland is not – nobody is picking Cleveland to win the Super Bowl next year. If they get back to the playoffs, that's a great accomplishment. But I think he fell into a great spot. So I just shout out to Shedeur to how he's handling the situation because he could definitely, handle it and go left with it, which is what they're waiting on. And I know it's killing them that he won't give them what they want, which is for him to act out of character. Because why would I? It was never about what y'all made it about. That's what y'all did, The media did that for him, and the media also did that for Travis Hunter. And, Travis Hunter this weekend got married. If you've been out the loop, he got married. He got married to the girl, to the controversial girlfriend that has been around, and call it what you want, call it what you will. Travis Hunter did not care. And speaking of contracts, he did not sign a prenup. And he gifted her a nice Benz truck right after they got married. And you look at them videos of him dancing, and whatever your take is on it, whatever your joke, insert your joke, who he looked like, what he doing. If he looks extremely happy, and I don't know if his happy is a genuine happy or is it I told y'all so, I'm doing it, whether y'all like it or not, like in spite of, So I don't know, but I don't know if there's five. I don't know if I can count on one hand how many people think that marriage is gonna last, that she's not in it for the money, that she's not gonna take it for everything you got. So it's a lot of people that are not on board with it at all. And I personally think, sometimes if you tell somebody what not to do, they're going to end up doing it. If you keep telling somebody, I forbid you to be with him or her, and you need to stay away from them, but they're going to go do it just because you're not going to tell them what to do. It's like they bucking, you're rebelling. That's the word. They rebelling. But the other thing is they just feel like, okay, what I'm missing is almost like forbidden fruit. So you telling me what not to do is going to make me want to do it, at least to see. And so I think some of that is him, y'all ain't going to tell me what to do. And I do think if you just look at him, he's smitten. That's a word that my fiance used. He's smitten with her. He looks like he wants to be with her. And for his sake, I just hope and pray that is reciprocal, that she wants to be with him for the right reasons. Essentially, it's y'all against the world, the whole Romeo and Juliet thing. And I just want to see him win. He deserves to win, and hopefully she is on board and wants to see him win as well, right? So I read about this study, y'all, so I'm just kind of switching gears a little bit. The University of Oxford, kind of on the line of Harvard, high education, prestige. So it's pretty reputable, right? At least you think they is because of who the source is. So the University of Oxford study found that men should, it said this now, I didn't make this up, ladies. It said men should hang out with their friends at least twice a week. And it says it boosts health by improving immunity, reducing stress, speeds recovery from illness, and it says only face to face, not online. So, ladies, when them guys say I'm going out with the guys, it's guy night or game night, or the research says let them go. The research says it's beneficial for them to go and have guy time. So I know some women be like, you ain't going nowhere, especially if a guy get a haircut. If he can take a shower, he putting on certain cologne that he can only be with around her. Every man knows that, if you got a woman, there's that one cologne that hold on, where you going? Where we going? Once you spray that, where we going at? So it ain't no where you going at. And so University of Oxford said it, ladies. And so fellas, if you want to improve, you want to boost your health, improve your immunity, reduce stress, and speed your recovery from illness, go hang out with the fellas twice a week. Not me. Oxford said it, okay? And so I just thought that was an interesting study. Like, how do you come up with those like numbers? Where is the medical research behind to attach my immunity going down with me hanging out with the fellas? Now, maybe reducing stress. Say if you got, if things going left at the house, you just got an argument with your old lady and you go hang out with the guys. Y'all go to the pool hall or go to the bar, watch a game or something. That could really, maybe just hanging out with the guys and getting your minds off it. That could probably reduce some stress, But the whole speed recovery from illness, that immunity. So some of that stuff that's medical, I kind of question, but I'm not a doctor, not a medical doctor anyway, so I don't have, all the answers. But that's what they said at the University of Oxford. So, that's their research, and I'm sure that they did a lot of, study, a lot of kind of had a lot of trials, I guess, to come to this conclusion that they came to, right? So along that line, ladies, this is for you. I also read something that says single women. And I'm not really sure the point of why I didn't read it wasn't like an article. It was just kind of like a headline on Instagram. Single women own 2.7 million more homes in America than single men, studies show. Once again, single women own 2.7 million more homes in America than single men. So what does that mean? I guess, and I know women mature faster than men. That's also, you can look that up as research base. So, you can go look at that from a couple different perspectives, from the, the independent woman, the Beyonce and Boots is spelling out the word independent. That's just an achievement. Like I said, I just don't really know what the point of was that. Like, are you saying that single women are more mature than single men? They're more responsible. They're more disciplined. Because they ain't really about getting the house. I would like to see the study of what's the correlation, comparison, percentage, whatever you want to say, of those same single women and single men that keep the house. Because getting the house is okay, getting the house, but you still got to pay the mortgage. You got to do all that. You got to pay the bills to a board. You got to pay your property taxes and things that come along with houses so that you can keep it. So getting the house, that's a great accomplishment, ladies. I'm not minimizing home, buying a home, purchasing a home. That's one of the best investments that you can do is to buy, invest in a house. So if you own a house, you're in good shape. So I'm not knocking that. I'm not knocking it. I just, it was just interesting, and I think it raised more questions. Like, what's the point? Like, what was the point of this study? And maybe, maybe they tried it in some other way that I just haven't seen yet. But I just thought that was interesting, that interesting statistic from comparing single men to single women, right? Um, so I read something else. Dave Ramsey. Most of y'all know Dave Ramsey. If you're in the financial kind of thing, he's big on uh, financial literacy and saving money, and he's big on he created like snowball methods as far as paying your debt down and all this kind of stuff. So he made a post. And I just thought it was very interesting. He said, if you saved $100 a month or $100 a month invested from age 25 to age 65 is 1,000, not 1,000, sorry, 1,176,000. He said you do not have to retire broke. And I wish, first thing I said, I wish I'd have saw that when I was 25, because I'd be over halfway there at this point. That'd be over 25 years I've been doing it. But we don't know what we don't know. And if we knew, like my son, that's going to be big for him. So I'm going to send that to him because he's of age, right? He just got out of college. He's 23. So he could live this. He could legitimately live this and be in great shape when it's time to retire. I put this in, like I have a group. We have a group called Moneymakers, and it's like an investment group that we kind of started from scratch. Very proud and happy that we were able to kind of get stuff like that off the ground because we don't know how to do stuff like that. So we've been at it for about 4 or 5 months and getting close to ready to kind of decide what's going to be our first investment. But I put something in our group the other day, and it said, let me pull it up for you. It said, life expectancy is 77. Retirement age is 67. 50 years of work to enjoy 10 years. Let that sink in for a moment. Invest early, invest often. If I could go back and tell my 18-year-old self one thing, it would be to invest, invest, invest. If I knew then what I know now, if I knew about money, if I knew about trading options, and I'm still learning, but if I knew about money the way I do now, I had a better understanding, appreciation, and respect for money. I haven't respected money like I should, and I've made a lot of bad plays, made a lot of bad decisions with money. And if I could just take it, but you can't live in regret, right? So I'm not living in regret, but that would be something I would tell my younger self. So since I have a younger self I'm recreated, I have a junior, God bless me with, and I'm trying to give him the game, trying to give it to him so his reality can be different than mine when he gets to this age. So if he starts investing $100 a month at age 25 and he's 23, so let's say he starts doing it at 23, he'll be a millionaire by the time he retires, and that's separate from whatever he's going to get from his job. Separate. And so along the way, you got that money, you can flip it, you can make it do other things. And so it just puts you in a great situation. And I'm just, like I said, I'm sharing it with him. Hopefully he takes heed to it. He got to do his own work. He's his own man. But, as his dad, I'm going to do what I can to put him in position. And a lot of times getting in position is having the information. Like I said, if I had that information when I was 25, I've been a whole different conversation. So I didn't have the information. I didn't have anybody to give me the information. Maybe it wasn't out there. I don't know. But since I have the information, anything I run across, I send to him. Most stuff. We talk, and I'm just trying to get him to expand his thinking, right? Just think outside of just first of all, have confidence and faith in yourself and what you bring to the table, and then that opens up everything as far as how you can move and where you can go and where you can position yourself to be. And so he has an outstanding opportunity. I just pray that he understands and appreciates it and he maximizes it, because like I said, the way things are as far as financial literacy is it's so available now, and it wasn't available when I was his age. So I hope and pray he takes advantage of it. He has some big goals and dreams and aspirations that he wants to do, and doing things like this will put him in position, because you got $1 million. Say you want to start a business and it costs 20,000. You got to have 20,000. I'm just putting a round number out there. Well, and with this strategy, you got 20,000. You got the money when the opportunity presents itself, and it's not going to hurt your way of living. It's not going to hurt your standard of living, because you're investing it. You're investing it. You're putting it to the side. So it's not your day to day, everyday living money. It's the money has a purpose, and so like I said, $100. Can y'all come on now? Y'all people that's about my age, a little older than me, just imagine if we would have known at 25, somebody say, "Hey man, when you get paid, $100 a month now, not $100 a week, $100 a month. When you get paid, maybe don't go do that. Maybe not go get that outfit. Maybe sit out one week to the club and invest that $100, because by the time you get an outfit, go to the club, pay to get in, get you some some drink on, go out after this club, you gotta go get something to eat. By the time you do all that, that's at least $100, right? And depending on how you is with clothes, it could be a lot more than that. You gotta get some shoes, you gotta do all the other stuff, get your hair cut. So $100 it could be saved by not going out one time. So don't go out this Friday, bro. Just chill. But put that 100 that you was gonna spend to go out, put it over here once a month. Put it over here. Put it over here, and you just forget about it. If you automate it, you really forget about it. We ain't know nothing about no automation back then. So just don't even let me see it. Don't let me even don't even put it in my check. Just put it over there. It's like a bill. I don't even need to see it. So just imagine if the kids now do that. So hopefully mine will. I'm gonna give it to him, and what he do with it is on him. But like I say, I told him, I said, man, you got to you're they're not giving you pages of the book. You have the book. You're in the room. You've made the connections. You've made the relationships. You've established firm foundations that you can leverage for the rest of your life. You'd be a fool not to take advantage of it. So yeah, man, yeah. And so I think that's all we got for tonight. Well, one more thing, I read what the DOE, Department of Education, revealed that 96% of student loan repayment applications remain unprocessed. Did you hear what I said? 96% of those applications for student loan forgiveness have not even been processed. So people could be sitting here with the qualifications to be forgiven, but only 4% of the people have had their files even addressed, processed for somebody to even review. And now that, as we finish up with President Trump in place, people was trying to hurry up and get it done before he got in office, with good reason, because you just don't know. You more than likely will not get that forgiveness that other people were getting. That based off of the criteria you was in line for. You was in line for the forgiveness. But if your stuff just sitting out there, and this man decides he want to wake up tomorrow and be like, you know what, if he taking money from these people at Harvard, that's like scholarship, whatever money, what you think he gonna forgive you? Like, no, so I read that and my heart just went out because I know a lot of people that had to take out loans in order to get through school, and those loans, man, it's easier to get the student loan than a car loan. Definitely harder to get it. I mean, definitely easier to get it than a house loan or mortgage. So they just put you in a position coming out the gate. You're already in debt and you're already behind the eight ball. You're just fighting the rest of your life to catch up. Well, that forgiveness is a way to help people catch up. And the 4% that have benefited, they've been able to catch up. They've been able to do some stuff. They've been able to position themselves to be productive in society. And so that 96%, you just kind of stuck in limbo. You're just out there in la la land. So um, I don't know, man. I don't know. Like I say, culture and business, our president has a direct connection to how both of those look because he can make one tweet, he can have one press conference, he can sign one executive order, and it totally wreck what you knew as life as we knew it, right? And so we just got to keep staying, uh, woke. We got to continue to pay attention, and we got to continue to just kind of read and be knowledgeable of the game because the game is changing. It's going to change for the next 3 years of at least 3 years as long as President Trump is in office. It's a new game, and when you got the information, when you know the game, then what can you do? You can play it more effectively. So I continue to try to get information. I'm continuing to read. I'm reading more now than I ever have before because he who has the information has a chance. And if you don't, you don't. So if I don't leave you nothing tonight, continue to obtain information. Obtain information which will then put you in position to be able to move accordingly, to move in this new normal that we are trying to get used to. All right. So, man, appreciate y'all giving me some of your time tonight, man. If you check this out later on, once again, Late Night with the Love Doc, please make sure that you like, share, and subscribe to our channel at J Love Publishing. As we continue to try to grow, we feel like we got something to say. We got good content, good conversation, good topics, and we want to talk about it in a way that people can relate. Right? Everybody can't relate to the topics that discussed tonight in a different way, but hopefully the way I come across, you can relate to them, and hopefully you enjoy the conversation, you enjoy the topics, and once again, it works when we work. So if you got something to say, drop it in the comments, whether you live or whether you look at it later. If you like it, once again, please support. Appreciate you helping out your boy as he continues to grow in this space, right? And you start, you pray about it, you let God handle the rest, and that's all you can do, and that's all I'm doing it with this. Okay, so once again, appreciate y'all tapping in with me, man, and rocking with me and supporting it as we continue to grow and learn it together. All right. So that's Late Night for the Love with the Love Doc. I am the Love Doc. I am he, Dr. Corey J. And until next time, we sign it off. Y'all have a good one. Good night.